YouTube, boy, we back with another video today. Yeah, how y'all doing? But we already know what day it is. It's Halloween, so let's go ahead and react to like some spooky facts. Let's go ahead and jump to the video.
Fun factors and welcome to this spooky edition of 101 Facts. My name is Sam, except this time I'm spooky. Can you guess what the theme of this week's episode is? Don't look at the title, that's cheating, but yes, it's spooky facts this time. So basically like our random anything and everything episodes, but everything's a bit creepy. And they're different shades of creepy too, you'll see. But what was the frankly horrifying first intended usage of a chainsaw? Which gruesome location has a pretty sweet name? And do you think I could go and claim Berta Wheel and call it 101onia? What do you mean you have no idea what I'm talking about? It's that piece of land that no one wants as a country, just up for the taking. 2 out of 3 of those questions are going to be answered, so sit down, don't get too frightened, and watch in horror as we go through some mouthwash. No, sorry, as we go through 101 terrifying, spooky, scary, and otherwise tremblesome facts.
There you go.
Always get those two confused.
Number
1.
Get into it.
Kicking off the spooky goings-on, Russia has a supposedly haunted radio station. UVB-76 is a low-frequency radio station that didn't stop broadcasting from 1982 onwards, but nobody knew where it was coming from or even what it was. Number 2.
Wait, like, is it talking? Like, is it like, or is it just like noise? Like, it would be crazy if, like, the radio station is like actually like still continuing, but like the people like are dead. They just, bro, shut the fuck up, man. But let me get this off the screen, bro.
Broadcasts coming from this thing range mostly from monotonous buzzes to weird voices, until in 2010 it stopped and started again. Russian explorers found the military location it was coming from and it was completely abandoned, except for a vile chemical smell and a woman in her mid-40s walking around with an empty stroller. Military number station or haunted? You decide. Number 3. If you could find out when you were going to die, would you want to know? Perhaps
That's a good ass question, y'all. Me personally, hell nah. Wait, hold up. Would you rather know when or how? Cause I feel like if you know how, then you could kind of avoid it, unless it's like a car crash or something stupid. Like if it's like a car crash, then you be like, I'm not gonna go. Nah, you can't really plan for that. But if it's like drowning, just don't get no water or nothing stupid like that. But maybe you on a plane one day and just crash. You say, I don't know.
You'd want a cat to tell you. Well, at a hospice in Providence, there was a cat who did exactly that, named Oscar. If he turned up by your bed, chances are your end was near. He did this with frankly terrifying accuracy, with almost 20 to 30 deaths in a row successfully predicted before he himself eventually died.
That's
Did he look
sick.
in the mirror or something? Number 4.
Imagine your ass having a good ass day in the hospital, bruh. You feel like you getting better. That nigga Oscar show. Hell nah, boy.
The scariest things often come from real life, so here's something more horrifying rather than spooky or supernatural. We'll get to that later, don't worry.
we go.
Former journalist turned homicide archivist Thomas Hargrove predicts that there are 2,000 serial killers active right now. And that's just in the US, by the way, not worldwide. Sleep tight. Number
What?
5. While we're on the subject of sleeping, should you rent a hotel for the evening within which to sleep, you may want to check you don't smell anything too funky. In Pattaya, Thailand, in the year 2016, for instance, 2 visitors found a strange pong in their room but slept through it anyway. Turns out, though, they'd been sleeping on top of a rotting body found under the mattress. And that's happened.
Oh my fucking god. Bro, what happened to the maze? What's the maze doing? Like, y'all niggas not going through the room, checking under the bed? Like, what the how?
Happened more than just once. Number 6. Halloween is of course a time for decoration, but don't you think some of them look eerily realistic? Well, they can be more real than they first appear. For example, at a Halloween hayride in Chicago in the year 1990, 17-year-old Brian Jewell became a decoration by pretending to hang himself from the gallows. Thing is though, the trick malfunctioned and it transpires what everybody saw during that exhibit that night was actually his dead body. Number 7. A similar fate befell Wild West outlaw Elmer McCurdy, who died when he was young, but his time after death was far weirder than his actual life. After he was shot in a drunk shootout in 1911, he was embalmed in a funeral parlour and kept on display there for years. Number 8. After this, 2 men visited claiming to be his brothers. They had to pick him up and lay him to rest, except they weren't his bros at all, they were entrepreneurial carnies, who took him and toured with his body as a sideshow. After this, the corpse, because just to remind you, this is an actual dead body we're talking about here, would be pawned from owner to owner for promotion and attraction purposes for decades to come. Eventually, he found it.
Bruh, I'm convinced, bruh. I've been on this, but after seeing and hearing it, niggas would do anything for some money, nigga. Nick, do you not have any morals? Nigga, what is wrong with
way
you?
into the Laugh in the Dark funhouse in California at a fairground. Number 9. By this time, though, people had forgotten McCurdy was an actual ex-person, which was rediscovered in the most macabre and odd of circumstances. In December of 1976, the hit TV show The $6 Million Man was shooting at the Laugh in the Dark funhouse, and during a sequence, one of the props had an arm snap off. A production crew member was horrified when he noticed the inside of the arm looked rather human. Turns out, that's right, it was McCurdy, so just be careful of fake bodies, okay? And hey, by the way, if you're scared of cannibals, might be nice to know you are one. In a way, sort of, or you will be.
No,
that's because after someone's died, it only takes 3 days for the enzymes in your digestive system to begin to digest your own body. So it seems like everyone has their own inner Hannibal. Number 11.
Shout to 11.
Oh, and you're kind of a little bit cannibalistic while alive, too. While you're walking around in the subway, 15% of the air you breathe is actually human skin. This has been proven by biologists from the University of Colorado who analysed air samples from New York subway platforms. 15% of it included skin from heels and the heads of the riders, and 12% came from armpits, belly buttons, ear canals, and bottoms. Number 12. Talking of death, by the way, out of all the 5 senses,
Hey, y'all niggas in New York, keep a mask on, cause fuck that.
when you die, it's actually your sense of hearing that goes last. Just in case you really want to imagine it.
That is ass. That is ass. Imagine you dying, and you just the last thing you just hearing is niggas roast the fuck at you like, yeah, bitch ass nigga, on my mama, you wanna like, hell nah, like that. Like I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get up. Like I was cool with dying, but now that you disrespect me while I'm going, no, I'm sorry, I'm up.
Number 13. Some bodies decay a lot slower than others. The reason for that is because of adipocere, also known as corpse wax, which can form over the body. As long as the cadaver is kept in an environment where moisture is present, the development of this corpse wax can take place, which sometimes can make the body not even look human anymore. Yum. Number 14. Once someone's died, their body begins to build up gases and liquids that have nowhere to go and forces the person to bloat. If you happen to die
No, what the f is that? What is this? What is...
forces the person to bloat. If you happen to die in water, this in turn makes the corpse buoyant, and therefore it begins to float to the surface. Lovely, Number 15. Something else more worrying than anything supernatural or things that happen once we die is what our bodies and brains can do while we're alive. For instance, the horrific locked-in syndrome. This is a medical condition where you're awake and conscious, but you can only move your eyes. You're basically locked inside your body like it's some kind of flesh prison.
Yo, is that like sleep paralysis? Cause I have had that shit too many times, bro. That shit, like you just wake up in the middle of the night, bro. You can't move your body, and then you just like all you can do is just like look around. Like, but I done experienced some crazy shit during that. That shit's ass, bro. And like one time, bro, like the last time I had sleep paralysis, what happened? Oh yeah, I'm asleep. I wake up in the middle of the night, and like I'm on my side because I sleep on my side, and I'm looking like my TV and shit off, everything off, and I hear these two girls in my room. Like it sound like they right there at the bed, bro. They sound like they right there at the bed, y'all. They right there at my bed. Everybody sleep, y'all. Remember that. Everybody sleep. Two girls in my bed. But these girls say, "Hey, he's finally here." Oh, nigga. Ooh, boy, that shit scared the fuck. I'm like, where is he here, nigga? Like, I can't move, I can't scream, I can't do shit. Boy, I'm telling y'all, boy, sleep rise ain't nothing to play with, boy. Y'all better stay safe out here.
Number 16. Oh yes, and then there's sudden arrhythmic death syndrome. This is when someone suddenly dies from cardiac arrest for absolutely no apparent reason whatsoever, a thought that genuinely haunts me for a lot of my life. This takes place in healthy people all over the world, and the solution, well, there isn't one currently. Number 17. Nature can often be the most horrifying and, let's be honest, metal thing of all. Take the horned lizard, for example. A species that, when they feel threatened, can squirt blood from its eyes. It's a bit over the top, hardly going to help a situation, is it? Number 18. Let me tell you a story about a chicken called Mike the Headless Chicken. Can you guess what his deal is? Yes, he was headless and survived being headless for 18 months. Imagine the shock for the owners who wanted him for dinner. Number 19. Your parents probably told you there's no need to be afraid of, moths and the like. But turns out they could have been wrong there, because there are such things as vampire moths that suck human blood. So sleep well, or you could find yourself, turning into a moth vampire. Unlikely, but who knows? Number 20. Speaking of which, by the way, vampire mythology has been around for literally ages, so it may surprise you to learn there are many different versions and variations within it. In Romania, for instance, it was believed in the Middle Ages you needed a 7-year-old boy dressed in white atop a white horse to find a vampire's grave.
Wait, what? What?
But who knows?
I gotta pay attention.
Number 20. Speaking of which, by the way, vampire mythology has been around for literally ages, so it may surprise you to learn there are many different versions and variations within it. In Romania, for instance, it was believed in the Middle Ages you needed a 7-year-old boy dressed in white atop a white horse to find a vampire's grave in the daytime, and that's how you killed them. Number 21. Similarly, different cultures believed you could identify a vampire from birth if they had specific abnormalities. If a child was born with teeth, for instance, or an extra nipple. Even children with a split lip were considered potential vampires in Russia, and it's best not to think about what they did with them. Number 22.
Don't tell me.
Archaeologists have found the actual graves of those who were suspected to be vampires. In Bulgaria in 2013, for instance, archaeologists discovered a grave containing 2 corpses with iron rods pierced through their chests, which is basically a physical way of saying, and stay out. Number 23.
Why? Do y'all think vampires and shit was real? Like, let's really think about this real quick, cause y'all know how there's so many stories about dragons and there's no corpse or anything on dragons and vampires and werewolves. Why were these people coming up with this? I know there has to be some truth in these stories. You see what I'm saying?
Speaking of the gone, the French catacombs in Paris are filled with the remains of nearly 6 million people, and there's still room for more. You can spend the night down there during Halloween via Airbnb. An absolutely gigantic no thank you from me. Yeah. Number 24. If that's too many dead people to be in the company of in the Czech Republic, you can visit a Roman Catholic chapel called the Sedlet Ossuary. There are decorations in the church that are made up of 40 to 70,000 skeletons. I'm not sure you can sleep.
What the actual fuck? I almost tried not to cuss, but that shit too wild not to. What the is that? Yeah, I want to go experience different cultures and everything, so I'm not judging. There's just something I just don't understand. Maybe my culture over here has made me too closed-minded. I just don't see the point of this. I'm actually confused, very confused. And is that making a picture, my boy? Is that eyes up there? Do y'all see that? Eyes? This might be the nose. I'm just confused.
There though. Number 25. Anyway, spooky movies fit this list, and 1982's Poltergeist is a problematic fave, but some consider it cursed. Actress Dominique Dunne was murdered not so long after the film came out at just 22 years old. Similarly, when filming Poltergeist 3 after appearing in the first 2 movies, Heather O'Rourke sadly died at the age of just 12 from a bowel obstruction.
Oh my god.
Number 26. A further reason that those who believe think this is a curse is because of the props in the movies, specifically in this part here with the skeletons in that pool. That's because these skeletons are, or were I guess, real human beings. This is because...
I don't get it. Why? Y'all niggas are disrespectful as hell. This is almost as bad as Fulio dancing on bro grave. What is wrong with y'all? Y'all are disrespectful.
Because real skeletons are apparently cheaper than fake ones. Number 27.
But how though? How is it cheaper? How is it cheaper to get a real one than a fake one? I guess if you just dig it up, but I don't know, guys. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know.
In 1912, a 4-year-old boy named Bobby Dunbar wandered away from his family and was never seen again.
Damn.
This is despite the fact the authorities seemingly found him in 1913 with a man named William Cantwell Walters. Almost 100 years later, DNA analysis found out this child was not the real Bobby Dunbar at all, and nobody knows exactly what happened to the true missing 4-year-old boy. Number 28. The Lemp Mansion in St. Louis has been the grounds for a tragedy. It was built in the 1860s by William Lemp and has 33 rooms. After William Lemp's youngest son died, the rest of the family killed themselves in the same house one after the other over the decades. Then, after the house was sold and transformed into a boarding house, many people reported it being haunted, witnessing doors slamming by themselves. Number 29. On June the 10th, 1912, in a home in Villisca, Iowa, Josiah and Sarah Moore were bludgeoned to death along with their 4 children and 2 friends that were spending the night there. The crime remains unsolved. However, people now pay to visit and even stay the night in the house. Although many tours have been cut short by people being troubled by hearing voices and seeing flying objects. In 2014, a paranormal investigator stabbed themselves after spending the night there. Number 30. There are more than 250,000 deaths every year due to some kind of medical error.
Like y'all niggas just always surprise me with y'all foolery. Like if somebody tell me, hey, you should jump off that shit, you might die. I'm not taking the chance of the might. I'm sorry. There's just some stuff I just wouldn't do. Like, I was just telling somebody the other day that I don't got limits. But now that I think about it, I do got limits. I wouldn't with spirits. That's just one thing I couldn't do. I'm not fucking with spirits. Like, if somebody tell me that's cursed, I'm not fucking with it. That's just common. I don't know. Maybe that's not common sense, but that's common sense to me.
Whether it's the wrong dose that was given or complications during surgery, medical errors is the 3rd main cause of death in America alone.
Damn.
Number 31. A shocking example is based on a report from the National Academies of Sciences Institute of Medicine. Poorly written doctor's notes kill more than 7,000 people annually in America and injure more than 1.5 million due to uncleared dosages.
Wow.
I guess we need the technological advancements more than ever to eradicate the use of paper and pen. Number 32. There is a brain-eating organism that will travel up your nose and eat your brain.
What's the... I'm gonna have to skip this one. I don't play with shit like this. But for y'all niggas, I'll finish it, but what?
It's more than ever to eradicate the use of paper and pen. Number 32. There is a brain-eating organism that will travel up your nose and eat your brain if it gets the chance to. Sounding like a zombie in need of a body, it's known as the brain-eating amoeba, and it can be found in Australia and some rivers in the southern United States.
I know where I'm not going.
Number 33. Your everyday cockroach that you find in houses or by dirty bins are omnivores. Some of the meat they like eating is actually human flesh, both dead and alive. So before you think it's looking for some of your tasty leftovers in the bin, you may actually be the one on the menu. Number 34. A botfly finds ways to place its egg in people. Sometimes...
What is with all these bugs and shit?
through attaching it to a mosquito. Then once this is done, the new botfly will hatch in your skin and you'll visibly be able to see it wriggling around. Oh god. Number 35. Approximately 6.5 million people in America alone have a brain aneurysm that hasn't ruptured yet. That's the equivalent of 1 in 50. Number 36. If the 1 in 50 people having a brain aneurysm doesn't scare you, you should know that every 18 minutes an aneurysm ruptures. Number 37. In the olden days, we know that many people died from decapitation using swords or even the infamous guillotine. Although a lot of them weren't aware that a human head stays conscious for almost 20 seconds after it's been cut off. Number 38. The Parsi community in India dispose of their dead by feeding them to vultures. I guess that's not really spooky, it's more, a community tradition. But still, it can't be a pleasant sight. Number 39. When in the womb, all babies grow moustaches called lanugo, although this moustache spreads around their whole body and is reabsorbed into the baby while the baby's still in the womb. Number 40. Often when thinking of spooky places, we think of haunted houses and forget a range of facilities that experience death and pain pretty regularly. For example, Charleston's Old City Jail is known as being the grounds for the first female serial killer in America. Her soul is one of the many spirits that allegedly haunt...
I ain't gonna cap, y'all. I know some of y'all dying bad niggas out here wouldn't mind if this bitch was a serial killer.
Grounds for the first female serial killer in America.
You wouldn't mind, cause I wouldn't mind. What the hell? She trying to kill me. I'm like, hey, baby. Alright, come, bruh. Hey, y'all. Yeah, man, stop it.
Her soul is one of the many spirits that allegedly haunted Old Charleston Jail. Number 41. Over 20% of young children have reported that they've experienced a hallucination or heard voices. Some struggle to work out whether they are experiencing a hallucination or real life based on how easily they blend together.
Nah, y'all, I gotta explain this one, bro. Hey, I gotta pick up the mic, y'all. I gotta pick up the mic, bro. Look, I heard, like, I gotta go real deep. Eh? So, look, I heard when kids are, like, young and they have imaginary friends, I heard, like, it's just dead kids. That shit's wild. So if you had an imaginary friend, y'all, chances are you're fucking insane. But hey, nah, if that's true, that's actually crazy and sad as hell.
Sounds a lot like The Matrix to me. The meaning of life. I know your parents probably tried to scare you into thinking, oh, don't eat that because a tree might grow inside you. And you probably thought, well, that can't possibly be real, can it? Well, there have actually been trees that have grown in people. For example, a patient in Russia was suspected to have a tumour growing within him, but it turns out it was actually a 5cm fir tree. Number 43. If climbing Mount Everest is on your bucket list, here's some key info for you.
No.
Over 200 dead bodies are found on the top of Mount Everest, and they act as markers for other hitchhikers to know where they are en route. The bodies aren't left there for indicators alone, but they remain there because it's simply too risky to retrieve them. Number 44. It's believed that cute little puppers like squeaky toys because they mimic the sound of their prey screaming. So just before you label your dog as cute and innocent, just try not to think about what the squeaky toy actually represents, okay? Number 45. Even when you're sleeping alone, you aren't really, because most mattresses have around 100,000 to 10 million dust mites inside of them. So when you next...
Hey, that's why I'm getting a new mattress. No cap, I'm not, no. Like, I wonder what's like the time limit of like, how long you should keep a mattress. Like, cause I know niggas be having mattresses for their whole lives. Like, y'all niggas different. Like, imagine having a mattress from, as a baby, to like 20, 30, that's fucking insane. You need help.
Let's go to bed. Don't forget to say goodnight to the dust mites you're sleeping with. Number 46. This isn't so much spooky as gross, although it will terrify some people. But if someone's making you a cup of tea, do you take 2 sugars and a scoop of poop? Well, you do with the latter, even if you didn't know it.
What?
20% of work mugs have traces of poop in them, and 90% of them have harmful bacteria. So if you avoided fecal bacteria today in the office, you could pick up some other weird tomorrow. Number 47. A lot of you've seen The Conjuring, right? Well, yeah, that is kind of a true story-ish. Some bits were definitely fabricated, but Ed and Lorraine Warren did investigate the Perrons family house, which they deemed as haunted due to the Perron family kids receiving goodnight kisses from a spirit each night, as well as the whole house smelling like rotting flesh. Number 48. Another popular story is the Winchester Mystery House. Sarah Winchester, whose family received its fortune from developing the Winchester rifle, experienced a lot of grief in her late years, and believed it was the result of blood money her family made off of the Winchester rifles. In order to combat the evil spirit, she built the Winchester house with several trapdoors, secret passages, and staircases leading to nowhere. Number 49. In 1844, a large case of hysteria took place in a French convent. A large group of nuns began meowing at the same time every day, so naturally their neighbours were terrified. Fortunately, after a group of soldiers threatened to give them a good spanking, they then came back to their senses. Are we sure this happened? This sounds like a naughty film.
Oh my,
Number 50.
what?
There's an illness known as Cotard syndrome, which is also called walking corpse syndrome. Due to this condition, people believe they're either dead, don't exist, are missing body parts, or are dying. Due to this, people who have Cotard syndrome could stop speaking. There's an illness known as Cotard syndrome, which is also called walking corpse syndrome. Due to this condition, people believe they're either dead, don't exist, are missing body parts, or are dying. Due to this, people who have Cotard syndrome could stop speaking or eating because they believe they're dead. After all, how can you heal a man who already thinks he's dead? Number 51. In 1938, a real-life slasher was believed to be going around Halifax in England cutting different women. However, when the police began to go deeper into the investigation, they realised that even though the community had grown to believe it was one man going around doing it, it could have been multiple. A number of victims also confessed they'd harmed themselves when they'd heard about the Halifax slasher. Another case of mass hysteria. Number 52. Have you ever wondered what death tastes like? Well, ask 17-year-old Willie Francis. He was sentenced to the death penalty.
I'm sorry, bro. Like, you can't just say some shit like that, and this nigga over there smiling with the newspaper, like what the fuck? What is this, bro? Hold up. Like, look at this shit, y'all.
52. Have you ever wondered what death tastes like? Well, ask 17-year-old Willie Francis. He was sentenced to the death penalty by electric chair. However, he survived the experience. He says, and I quote, he felt a burning in his head and his mouth tastes like cold peanut butter. So that's what death tastes like. Hope you're not allergic to peanut. Oh, it doesn't matter, does it? If you... Anyway. Number 53. There are approximately 4,400 unidentified bodies found each year in America.
Wow.
By the following year, 1,000 of those are still unidentified. Are they from the existing population or from another dimension? Probably the former. Number 54. Scaphism. That's something horrible. Let's talk about it. It was an execution method used by the ancient Persians, in which they bound their victims to a boat and then covered them with milk and honey to attract flies and vermin. The boat's then left out on the water until the victim dies from being chewed up by the various beasties enjoying milk, honey, and flesh. Number 55. In Mexico City, there's a small island called Isla de las Muñecas, aka Island of Dolls. A legend goes the island caretaker found a little girl who drowned. There was a doll near her
Oh, I heard of this shit. This story's wild.
He hung on the tree out of a sign of respect. Unfortunately, he believed the girl began to haunt him, so he hung more dolls to appease her, but then those dolls supposedly became possessed, so bit of a mess now, isn't it? Legend has it the caretaker died in the exact same spot he found the little girl. Number 56. Are you afraid of pigs? Well, pigs are another breed of animals that are omnivorous. Terry Garner, for example, went to feed his pigs one day and never came back. Once authorities and family members investigated the scene, they found pieces of his body in the pig enclosure, but the rest of his remains had been consumed. Number 57. Since 1950, whenever the US has lost, accidentally launched, fired, detonated, or had a nuclear bomb stolen, it was referred to as a broken arrow. So far, there have been 32 broken arrows, and 6 of them have been confirmed as lost. There's just 6 missing nuclear weapons out there. How reassuring.
Insane.
Number 58. Okay, slight palate cleanser. Butterflies are beautiful, aren't they? Well, yes, but they do like drinking urine and sucking blood, so not a great look. Number 59.
What?
The anglerfish mates through parasitism, which is when the male anglerfish bites the female one in order to fuse his mouth to her body. This then makes the male dependent on the female for blood-transported nutrients, and the female becomes a host. Not spooky in the traditional sense, but still horrifying to think about. Number 60. For several decades up until the 1980s, some surgeons did not believe that newborn babies could feel pain. How they came to that conclusion is unknown and horrible, but it led them to conducting life-saving operations on babies without anesthesia. So the babies crying weren't just crying because they're babies, but it's because they were in extreme pain. Number 61. Based on a Swiss study that looked at 2.5 million deaths, it's been proven you're 14% more likely to die on your birthday. Like Shakespeare, for example. I guess there is some truth to that Happy Death Day movie. That said, hope you have a wonderful birthday this year, and, you remain alive. Number 62. The monster of the Andes is sadly not a mythical creature but the name given to Pedro Alonso Lopez, a murderer thought to be responsible for the deaths of around 350 people in parts of South America. This makes him one of the most prolific serial killers in history, but he was caught in 1980. Number 63. What's just as scary as that story is that the monster of the Andes was sentenced to only 16 years in prison, which was the maximum sentence in Ecuador at the time. He was freed after 14 years on the basis of good behaviour, and after a further 4 years in a psychiatric facility in Colombia, he was released completely. His current whereabouts are unknown. Nintendo 64. Arachnophobes, look away now because this is going to scare the bleep out of you. This is the Thetaphosa blondie, a tarantula otherwise known as a Goliath bird eater. And yes, it can, although quite rarely, eat an entire bird. These beasts hold the world record for the world's largest spider, hitting up to 170 grams in weight and have legs spanning 38 centimeters. Number 65. Sure, bird-killing spiders look scary, but what about human-killing ones? There's quite a few out there, but it's probably worth mentioning the Sydney funnel web spider, which can kill a human in as little as 15 minutes, and is listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most venomous spider in the world.
Wow.
Number 66. Okay, arachnophobes, you can come back now. Here's some nice calming facts instead about snakes. Hey, you clicked on the video, you should have known what you're going in for. It's possible for some species of snake to eat a human being whole. In 2018, the BBC reported on an Indonesian woman who was swallowed whole by a 7-meter-long reticulated python. Number 67.
Hey, I don't see how y'all niggas play with them niggas. Hey, y'all niggas brave as hell. Because me, hell nah.
7. If that literally did scare the poo out of you, maybe check the inside of the loo before you sit down. In 2021, a man in Austria, that's Austria, not Australia, went to the toilet in his own home and felt a nip in his genital area. He then discovered he'd been bitten by an albino reticulated python. Lovely. Number 68. In 1587, some English settlers found the colony of Roanoke off the eastern coast of North America. Life was tough on the island settlement, and so the mayor, John White, left for England that same year in the hopes of bringing over more people. When he returned 3 years later, his family and all the other settlers had completely vanished. Roanoke was empty. The only clue was the word Croatoan carved onto a wooden post. Everyone's fate is still unknown. Number 69. Ooh. In 1955, the merchant vessel MV Joyita set sail for Tokelau from Samoa. It should have been a 2-day trip for the 25 passengers and crew on board. It never reached its destination though and went missing for more than a month, during which time no distress signal was received. Eventually the boat was found, driving the Pacific 1,000 kilometers off course. The 25 passengers and crew had vanished without a trace, however. Number 70. Ghost ships aren't a thing of the past though. For years they've been washing up on the shores of Japan. In 2019, for example, 158 ghost ships reached the Japanese coast, some of them containing the corpses of the unfortunate crew on board. Where are they coming from? North Korea. It's thought the unfortunate fishermen are taking more risks in ill-equipped boats. Number 71.
Wow.
Frederick Valentich was a 21-year-old pilot who went flying on the 21st of October in 1978. While in the air, he reported to air traffic control that there was another aircraft in the sky which was metallic, had flashing light, and was behaving weirdly. His final transmission was "That strange aircraft is hovering on top of me again." It's hovering, and it's not an aircraft. He was never seen or heard from again, and his plane was never found. Number 72.
Hey, this is a perfect time to talk about aliens, bro. I think the U.S. maybe last year or 2 years ago came out and said aliens are real or UFOs are real or whatever the fuck, bro. What the hell is going on in this fucking world, y'all? Do y'all think? I mean, I guess the government's saying. I guess we kind of have to believe it, but what is going on? What is going on that we don't see? I feel like the government knows a lot. They ain't telling us.
Every year, more than 8 million tons of plastics end up in the ocean. Okay, I know that's not as gripping as a plane or boat disappearing, but it's kind of philosophically horrifying to see what that's actually doing to the world. Number 73. Regarding the Earth's rainforests, since the 1960s, over half the world's entire tropical forests have been destroyed. Wouldn't surprise me if most of the animals we know now...
You know what makes sense? Once we destroy something, we destroy plants.
Now we can only get to see through augmented reality or something. Number 74. To give you an idea of how you're contributing to the destruction of the rainforest, around 27,000 trees are destroyed daily around the world in order for us to have toilet paper. And that's good, is it? Shame on you. I simply don't wipe, saving the planet. Number 75. You may have heard this one before, but it's good to keep in mind every time you put your mouth to your phone. Most mobile phones are between 10 to 20 times dirtier than a toilet seat. So yes, that includes you mucky pup. Number 76. As we're moving deeper and deeper into the digital age, it's probably good to know that there is a cyber attack every 39 seconds every day on the web. So despite the increase of AI and things like Alexa taking over our home, hey, what's the worst that could happen? Number 77. Female black widow spiders are known for eating their male counterparts after mating with them. Yep, that's right, the arachnophobia section's back. Maybe that's why Mickey Mouse had that big fight with Scarlett Johansson recently. Number 78. Most of you will have seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and so most of you know about the legendary Leatherface, who used a chainsaw as a weapon. Well, what if I told you that chainsaws were originally meant to assist in childbirth? Therefore, they were actually meant to sustain life rather than take it. For example, in 1780, a chainsaw was used to remove the pelvic bone of a patient in order to make childbirth easier. Number 79. The golden poison dart frog is no bigger than a paperclip in size, but because its skin is covered in toxins, it can kill a human being with a single touch. Number 80. Based on medical reports of a lot of blood being found inside the liver of gladiators, it's believed that several gladiators would drink the blood of others who have died. This is due to the belief that they would think they would absorb all their power and strength. Number 81. Count Dracula is probably the most, legendary vampire out there, and he was actually based on a real person, the Romanian ruler Vlad the Impaler or Vlad III, Dracula. He became known as this due to his cruel torturing techniques, which then in turn inspired the creation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Number 82. Even though the Stone Age took place between 30,000 BCE and 3000 BCE, pictures of werewolves and vampires have been uncovered in some of the inscriptions from the time. So hey, maybe...
See, I'm telling you, I'm there gotta be some truth. There's no way it's not just coming from
nowhere. Before we were, apes, we were Beowulfs. Number 83. A mysterious island near Venice called Boveglia was used as a quarantine station from 1793 to 1814. People there suffer from abnormal diseases, and the island has been home to several other sketchy stories too. For this reason, it's been the inspiration for, and a key location within, several horror movies to date. Number 84. We've already learned that bodies become buoyant around 4 days after death. Another interesting effect that takes place around a week after death is that the skin blisters to the point that if you were to touch it, it could fall off. That's enough information to make you a better detective if you come across a corpse. You're welcome.
Disgusting.
Number 85. During the 19th century, dentures were made with the use of dead people's teeth. So they could have had, celebrity teeth. Oh look, I'm munching with the teeth of Abraham Lincoln. Although, probably unlikely. Number 86. If you're anything like me, you fear the sun because you can burn in cloudy weather. But that big ball of flaming hot in the sky could destroy civilization on Earth as we know it when it releases a solar flare. And that would knock out satellites, take down power grids, and shut down the internet.
We're done.
Number 87. Scientists have calculated a solar storm strong enough to pretty much ruin everything has a 12% chance of occurring in the next decade, and is even more likely in the next century. The last big solar storm that hit Earth took place in 1859. If we were hit with a similar event now, it would cost $10 trillion in damage. Damn. Number 88. Since 1973, over 1,500 death row inmates have been executed. During the same time period, over 180 death row prisoners in the USA were exonerated for their crimes. This means statistically that for every 8 people sentenced to death, 1 death row prisoner was innocent. Number 89. Botulinum toxin, otherwise known as Botox, is the most poisonous substance known to man. Just a couple of kilograms of it would be enough to kill every single human being on the planet. To kill a 70-kilogram man requires just 0.00007 milligrams of Botox, which isn't very much. It also costs almost $140 trillion per kilo to make, so scary for your wallet too. Number 90. You are not wholly human. None of us are. Only 43% of our bodies are made up of human cells. The rest are microscopic creatures that live in or on our bodies, but they ain't human. The non-human bits are made up of things like viruses, fungi, bacteria, and single-celled organisms called archaea. Number 91. If you're a cat owner, you probably love them, and hey, they're fine with you living in their house too. But if you were to tragically die, would the cat eat you? Yes, probably. In 2008, for example, a Romanian woman was reportedly eaten by her 20 cats just after she died. They tend to go for the face first too. Cheers, puss. Number 92. If you're a dog owner and think they're not like cats and they wouldn't eat you after you've popped your clogs, think again. In 2010, a woman died and was found the next day with most of her face missing. It was inside her pet dog's stomach and her cats hadn't even touched her.
Damn.
Number 93. This next fact is mostly scary if you're vegan. Some fruit isn't always suitable to eat, like lemons for example. This isn't because the lemons have suddenly become sentient fleshy critters, but it's because they're sometimes waxed in shellac, a resin made by bugs, which makes the lemons look fresh and shiny. Number 94. Toxoplasma gondii is a parasite that can infect cats, but it can transfer to humans via felines. It can cause flu-like symptoms within humans and affect mental health. It's been linked to impulsivity, bipolar disorder, and even suicide. Estimates put global infections at between 16 to 80% of the global population. Number 95. When King Alfonso IV of Portugal found out his son Dom Pedro was in love with an illegitimate woman, the king had her sent to a monastery to end their relationship. The king then ordered the poor woman, Inés Pires de Castro, murdered. Understandably, Dom Pedro was heartbroken, and when he became the king, he had the two murderers' hearts ripped out, and then he allegedly had Inés's body exhumed, dressed her as a queen, and had people bow down to the corpse. Totally normal behaviour. Number 96. The man-eater of Champawat was a Bengal tiger that lived in western Nepal and northern India at the turn of the 20th century. The tiger got a taste for eating humans and is said to have killed 436 men, women, and children before it was killed. Damn. The big cat holds the world record for being the most deadly tiger in
That nigga was trying to get his KD up. What the hell? What the fuck is wrong with you?
history, one that I hope is never beaten. Number 97. Reports of candy being tampered with on Halloween have been pretty common for years now, but it's surprisingly rare, with about 200 cases in Canada and the USA since 1958. It does happen though, like in 1974 when a Texas man gave out treats laced with cyanide to 5 children, including his own son, who was the only one of the children who died by eating it. The dad in question was then subsequently found guilty and was himself sentenced to death. Number 98. Ever felt like you've had water stuck in your ear? Well, might not be water. In 2020, a Kansas City resident went to her doctor thinking she had some H2O in her ear that just wouldn't go away, but the medics found a spider living in there. And not just any spider either. It was a brown recluse, which are highly venomous and can even cause death, on admittedly rare occasions, with their bite. Number 99. I don't want to alarm anyone, but 95% of the universe is missing. I say missing, it's there, we just can't observe the spider either. It was a brown recluse of the universe is missing. I say missing, it's there, a bite. Number 99. I don't want to alarm anyone, but 95% of the universe is missing. I say missing, it's there, we just can't observe it. This is what's known as dark matter and dark energy. Aside from knowing that this 95% is 68% dark energy, the other 27% of dark matter is a mystery.
Damn.
Number 100. In any given year, according to the CDC, you have a 1 in 500,000 chance of being struck by lightning. Statistically, men are 5 times more likely to be struck than women, and 85% of lightning strike fatalities are men. Watch out, fellas. Number 101. Fear of Friday the 13th is better known as, paraskevidekatriophobia or frigatriskaidecaphobia. To end on a more positive note, Mr. Rogers made King Friday the 13th the ruler of Calendarland in the neighbourhood and gave him a birthday on, you guessed it, Friday the 13th, so that children would look forward to it rather than develop a fear of the superstitious day. So those were 101 spooky facts. Spooky for different...
Man, the last few wasn't too scary. But, y'all, if y'all enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to drop a lot of videos today. I'm trying to feed y'all boys, not no candy, some content, with some good content. Boy, if y'all enjoyed this video, make sure you let me know down below. And thank y'all for watching. We out here.